black starts here and white starts here. 1,000 years ago, Prince Murwadi had gambled and lost his entire fortune in chess. We joined him in the last game, in which he has, as a desperate measure, bet the life of his wife, Dilaram, in order to gain his fortune back. In this last game, as you can see, he is again very, very close to getting checkmated. Or as they would have said back then, 1,000 years ago in Persia, Shah-i-mat. The king or the Shah is helpless. Is that what that means? And Shah-i-mat, well, does that sound like something you have heard? That is what we now call checkmate. Prince Murwadi has a couple of pieces of his own. And in this position, his wife, Dilaram, cried out, my prince, sacrifice your rooks and not your wife." And this tells us a couple of things. First of all, we can be quite sure that Prince Murwadi would have been much better off had he let his wife play the games instead of himself. And also, it gives us a clue how to solve this chess puzzle. Because Prince Murwadi can indeed win this seemingly hopeless position. However, I will not call this a chess puzzle anymore in this video. I will call it a mansuba, because that is the name they used for chess compositions or puzzles 1,000 years ago, when this beautiful chess puzzle was created by the Arab chess teacher As-Zuli. We know of this mansuba from a chess book written a bit later in the 15th century by Firdevsi at-Tahial, and I'm sure I'm butchering his name there, so I'll be quick to say something nice about him. He has the world record for longest poem. The guy who wrote this mansuba down for the first time, he wrote a poem with more than 1,000,000 verses. He wrote a poem with more than 1,000,000 verses. It took him almost 50 years to complete it. So I hope he will forgive me for butchering his name. Oh, the poor, poor Prince Murwadi. From the sideline, his poor, poor wife, Dilaram, crying out, "Sacrifice your rooks. Do not sacrifice your wife." So why do I say that she should have been playing this entire time? Well, that is simply because the clue she gives us on how to solve this mansuba is absolutely correct. And if she can see that with her life on the line from the sidelines, then I think it's pretty safe to say that she's a much stronger player than the two playing, and probably she would have won a lot of games had she been allowed to play. Fortunately, Prince Murwadi listened to his wife, as all wise men should always do. And we couldn't have helped him, only Princess Dilaram could help him. Even if I had taken Stockfish, the strongest chess program in the world, and traveled back in time, I could not have helped Prince Murwadi. Because if I had put this position from this mansuba into Stockfish and given the moves that it suggested to Prince Murwadi, he would certainly have my prince, sacrifice your rooks and not your wife. It's clear that if black is allowed to move at all, checkmate is coming, and there are two ways to checkmate the white king. So it is impossible to stop. If we try to defend, for instance like this, the other rook can give the checkmate. So we must move with the force of a sledgehammer here. We must absolutely assert our will on this chessboard. My prince, sacrifice your rooks and not your wife. How can we do that? How about rook to h8 check? That is a very, very forcing move. There is only one legal response, so we can force black's hand here. The only legal move is king takes rook. And here it comes. The reason why Stockfish would be of no help whatsoever in this position 1,000 years ago. Because the correct move here is bishop to f5, discovered check from the rook. Did you see that move? Well, probably not. And neither would Stockfish. You see, 1,000 years ago, the rules of chess were slightly different. Most pieces moved in exactly the same way as they do today. But not the bishop. The bishop moved only 2 squares. Still, 2 squares diagonally. But, like the knight, it could jump over pieces. So that is why we see bishop f5, discovered check from the rook. The king must go back to g8. Also, back then the queen was not as powerful as she is today. Back then she wasn't even a queen, she was a wiser, a counselor for the king. And she moved only 1 square, or he moved only 1 square, like the king. Also, pawns couldn't promote when they got to the end of the chessboard. My prince, sacrifice your rooks and not your wife. Is there a way we can sacrifice another rook? Indeed, there is. It's the same move. Rook to h8. Again, the king has only 1 legal move. King takes rook, like so. Maybe we can really win this game. Maybe we can really save Princess Dil Aram. And maybe we can even figure out a way to teach Stockfish how to solve this mansuba. But we will do that only after we have solved it ourselves. We still cannot afford to give black a free choice of move. We will lose the brilliant Dilaram. We only have 1 possible check here. Let's try it. Pawn to g7, check. Now the king cannot go forward, because here it would be able to be captured by this bishop. It can move 2 squares. Therefore, king again back to g8. The Shah is helpless. Shah-i-mat. He cannot escape. He cannot escape. And these two squares are attacked by the pawn. So the story ended happily after all. Now, let's see if we can fix it so that Stockfish can help us solving a chess composition, a mansuba that is more than 1,000 years old. We put up the position again. The same position. How can we fix it? How can we fix it so that Stockfish will give us the correct answer here? We want the same solution. We want the same solution, or as close as we can get. What can we do? Let's take this bishop that caused all that trouble by not following the usual rules. Let's remove that. Let's put in instead a knight that does follow the usual rules. Does that change anything? The pawns still can't promote. We still can't have a queen. Even if we could, she wouldn't be as powerful. But does it work anyway? Let's take a look. My prince, sacrifice your rooks and not your wife. Rook h8 check. King takes rook. Now knight g5 check. It's a very, very similar move. Knight g5 check. King g8. Rook h8 check. King takes rook. Only move. Pawn to g7 check. King to g8. And the same finishing move. Knight to h6. And again, Shah-i-mat. The king is helpless. If you like this chessboard, I have a link in the description with a promo code that you can use to get a 10% discount. I really hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.